Just waiting a few moments for me to get a notification that we're streaming. That's all. But we are live now. Okay. All right. Instant reaction. Ole Miss 70-61 losers to Louisiana Tech. The basketball season is over. It was a tale of two halves, but not necessarily the halves you're thinking of. The first 10 minutes of the first half, the first 10 minutes of the second half, the Rebels combined for 12 points. The rest of it, they scored, I think, let's see, 49, if my Mississippi math is correct. I'm here with Trevor Oxley. We're here to break down a little bit of what happened and to get you some bright spots you can take from this game. How you doing, Trevor?
I'm good. Believe it or not, I was actually just thrilled we got to watch basketball. I think starting off, I'd rather talk about the things we didn't do well, then I can really get into my main point of this whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so first off, Ole Miss commits 21 turnovers in a game that they do not have their leader, Devontae Shuler. So is it completely unexpected? No. You look at it and you have Jarkel Joyner running the point for the first time. He's an experienced player, but he's not a true Ole Miss player. He's not a Kermit player. He hasn't been part of the process for a long time. And then you lose KJ Buffin at the forward spot against a team who is very forward heavy, very forward, reliant. So that's going to shake some things up. So we see some newer players come in. But the 21 turnovers is something that you can control. You can go out there and try and make good passes and be smart with the ball. But when you turn the ball over that many times, I think it was 21 to 10. So you turn the ball over that many times and the deficit's that big. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that the score wasn't, a bigger deficit. The second thing is I think we could have done a little bit better job of maybe closing off some angles for Kenny Lofton to get for Lofton to get the ball. He's a big man. He's a mammoth of a man. He has 35 pounds of Romello White. So I don't think we've seen a player that big besides Tillman, who's 260. So he's really talented. He's great hands for a big. He's pretty nimble on his feet. He's got some skill. The last thing is in a game like this, Matthew Morrell did not shoot the ball what felt like for a 14 to 15 minute stretch in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
He was sitting on a 4 of 9 number, and then I think in the last minute and a half, he took 2 shots, which will lead me to my good point of this game is we got basketball. Ole Miss had an opportunity to usher in new players and see what a new look for this team would be. This was, if anything, you shouldn't be disappointed in a loss. You should be happy that you got to see 40 minutes more of this team. You should be excited that you got to see 40 minutes more of this team. Matthew Morrell had a really good game. He did some really impressive things. He took the ball. He got aggressive. He went to the hole. He learned had a couple mistakes, the charge, lowering his shoulder, a couple misfires, and that's fine. But we got to see Matthew Morrell play that way. He wasn't just a catch-and-shoot player. He wasn't just a role player. He had an impact. Same goes for guys off the bench. Dude came in. We haven't seen this dude play since January. He comes in and he has, 8 minutes in what I feel like was mostly in the first half. We didn't really see him in the second half. I felt like that was a disappointment. We could have come out and see what this dude really has. I keep calling him dude, but, it's not like I'm saying dude, like his name, but just saying dude generally. That's kind of funny. Well, we really could have saw him come out in the second half and see what he was all about. And we see guys like Sammy Hunter, who had a pick-and-pop three, who had a mid-range jumper, and really had some really, good energy, big minutes. But we didn't see a whole lot of them in the second half. We were really reliant towards the tail end of the game, and that's when Kermit Davis went back to his zone. But the exciting things were the things that we didn't get to see a whole lot of. This team played man today more than I think they've played all season long. I mean, it felt like almost the whole, first 30 minutes of the game was straight man. We've never seen that. That's an encouraging sign to see this team adapt to the players they have and change their style of play a little bit. Early on in the game, I think we went to Romello 3 times, really early. I'm talking as soon as our first 5 possessions. And Lofton, being the bigger man he is, maybe backed him down, made him a little uncomfortable. Then we changed things up a little bit. We got other guys involved. So that's the kind of stuff that I like to see. I like to see Morrell attacking. I like to see Jarkel attacking. Jarkel had a beautiful snake off of a Romello screen, finished on the other side and won. Saw him take over really that last 5 minutes of the first half. Really kind of extend that lead out for us. Tell me what you just saw.
Basically, I saw a team that struggles to have a shot maker. They were they can get in a little bit of a rut, and next year hopefully that can be contributed, but that can be fixed a little bit. But Jarkel Joyner at the end of the first half can show that'll help Deshaun Ruffin and Matthew Morrell next year so much if he can be the alpha and the man on the basketball court. And he took the bull by the horns there, kind of disappeared a little bit in the second half, but he finished with 22 points. That's 2 straight 20-point games for Joyner. The future is bright for him. His range is extending. It's going to be interesting to see, but I expect he'll be playing the 2 next year and not so much the 1 because Ruffin's going to come in and play the 1.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how quickly we incorporate Ruffin. The good, encouraging sign is that this, I feel like, was just an average game for Joyner, 7-17 isn't exactly lighting it up. It's not like he had against, LSU. But if that's the case, that's incredible for Ole Miss, I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to be like an alpha level scorer, but he's more than capable. He's definitely he's starting to become the player he was at Cal State Bakersfield compared to the guy he was at the beginning of the season.
I think that possibly, and this is nothing against Schuler. That's not what I'm saying. Just understand that. But I think this team was a little bit too deferential to Schuler as the season progressed. And just now you're starting to see, like, Luis Rodriguez went for 10 and 10 tonight. Matthew Morrell went for 9 and 7 tonight. I mean, there's some players that can step up if they can take that next level. And the deferentialness of this team kind of showed itself. But the aggression's there. You saw that at the end of the first half.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is an encouraging sign for Ole Miss fans to take away from. Is when you see that, you can see that your coach adapts to your players and who he's got out on the court. You're right. There is no Devontae Schuler. Devontae was relied on to take, 15, 20 shots a game?
Mm-hmm.
Now you get to see other players take those shots, and you get to see them take them in different roles. Matthew Morrell attacking, Jarkel Joyner attacking, Luis Rodriguez, who did a lot more trying to create for himself. I don't think he got a lot of what he was looking for, but still seeing him go after that is encouraging because now you know that he's not good at it, or maybe – I'm not going to say not good, but he needs to improve on it. He can have that offseason to improve on it. So it's encouraging to see. I'm actually kind of enjoyed watching this game and seeing it all play out.
Yeah, and one trap that this team had, and this season's over, so we work at the program, but going into next season with those same guys, don't rely on jump shooting. Don't become just a jump shooting team. Show that aggression, try and get to the line, and try to affect the score sheet so you don't have those lulls like those 10 minutes at the start of each half.
Yeah, we've started off slow almost every game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the case for it was. It's been a problem all year, and it's always a problem in the second half. And we also got into a weird situation where we would hold them defensively at the end of the halves, and that didn't happen tonight. But I also thought it was a good sign for this team because – let's just call it what it is. Their roster's kind of it's taken a huge hit over the past, 2 weeks. And no one's going to deny that. But they were down to 8 scholarship players. And they came out there and they battled. They got punched in the mouth early on. La Tech plays a really physical style of basketball. They have a lot of big guys, 260, 280, and then can't think of the other guy's name right now. Crawford is also a pretty sizable forward. So for a team like us, who has a bunch of forwards who haven't played a lot, and Dude and Sammy Hunter, it's going to be tough for you to win that game. And I think for us to even come out with a rebounding battle is an encouraging sign.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot that you can look forward to. Remember, this season effectively ended when Selection Sunday made their choice. This is the first game of next season, and you really get to see what you have. And there were positive signs out there. Heck, even John McBride got some minutes out on the floor, and he played fairly well. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of good to be taken from it, and don't just view this as the NIT is worthless, the NIT is doomed. No, this was kind of the first game of the next season.
I kind of half agree with that. I think I think it is encouraging, and I would take away all the positives from this game that you can, and just completely forget about the negatives. And
Yeah.
that's the one way you can only look at this is whatever you saw from a guy that looked good. So, for instance, in my mind, it's Morrell attacking and getting deeper. I think normally he would pull up around the free throw line area or one step beyond that. Now he's getting closer into the middle of the paint. Whether it's Sammy Hunter making a pick and pop three, or Luis trying to attack. It's even though things maybe didn't work out the way you think, it's still an encouraging sign to see that. Even McBride playing minutes is good. I love to see that because even if Ole Miss's roster stretched thin, that means Kermit Davis trusted his roster enough with who he had, including McBride, to go out there and play hard. Because there wasn't a moment in this game I didn't feel like Ole Miss just laid down. That's why I didn't want to say like this wasn't the first game of the next season. They were still fighting for their season. Even Romello White didn't have his best game. Still, he played with a lot of emotion. You could tell he didn't want his season to end. He was going at it. He was battling. And just because you didn't see the results in the stat sheet doesn't mean it wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had guys looking to move to the next level. And like I said, unfortunately, Devontae wasn't there. Romello was kind of for lack of a better term, graybeard on the floor. And he didn't have his best night on his last night, but he had a significant contribution to this team, and that should be remembered for a good period of time. We're going to shut it down there. Remember, Sunday night, baseball series, instant reaction. I think we're going to do that, and Monday's spring practice Palmcast with Jake Evans. So, for Trevor Oxley, I'm Stephen Willis, and thank you